Hey everyone, this is Naf High Off Wrestling. Comment, like, subscribe, hit that bell, and give me a good old thumbs up. Man, like you see, wreck everyone and leave. I'm a big Roman Reigns fan. Got the big dog with me right here. Take a look at that. Hell yeah. Ooh, ah, the tribal chief. But we're not going to get in that. We're going to get into the spirit of what's going on in November. In November, it is the Survivor Series. And I'm going to talk about what I believe is the greatest Survivor Series match of all times. And that would be Survivor Series 2003. I also believe it's the greatest Survivor Series pay per view of all time. But I want to get more into the 5-on-5 match, which I believe is the greatest 5-on-5 Survivor Series match I've ever seen. From a storytelling standpoint, from a violent standpoint, if you just look at it from violence, and the beauty of it, the sadness of it. And I'm gonna go kind of farther back because I'm kind of I consider myself a historian, but I'm gonna go further back, and I think this leads from 1998 WrestleMania 14. We saw Steve Austin uh, ascending and ascending and ascending to the top, and we knew it was just a matter of time. And it was kind of, you knew Shawn was the best, but Shawn had some issues going on, and you seen him descending, and not necessarily descending in the ring, because by God, the man is perfect in that ring, but he was descending mentally and physically, and his body was breaking down on him. And Shawn was still performing like Shawn. At the, I believe, the 1998 Royal Rumble, he took a really bad back bump from The Undertaker. He hit his back on the he hit his back on the edge of the casket, and Shawn still won that match and was in excruciating pain. And you could see Shawn was fed up in excruciating pain, but Shawn still wanted to be the man, and it was time for him to move aside because the Austin era was hot. Austin was selling the merch. No matter how great Shawn was, his time was up. His era was over. And I've never seen an era of Shawn. Shawn ended his era still being great. If you watch that WrestleMania 14 match, Shawn has pure pain in his face. Pure pain. Like, you see it, and he still put on the match like if he could. He was taking bumps, landing, doing everything he could. And that night, Austin became the man. Stunner. Shawn gets into a Tyson. Mike Tyson knocks him out, and the Austin era begins. And then it leads to this. We watched Austin have his WrestleMania 19 match with The Rock. And then we watched kind of Austin, his descent, but he kept it a little bit more secret. He didn't let nobody know it was his last match, but I believe for wrestling fans, if you're really a wrestling fan, you knew 19 was it for Austin. So when it came to the Survivor Series, it was Team Austin versus Team Bischoff, and these guys had a heated debate since WCW when Bischoff fired Austin, and Austin went to WWE to become the biggest blockbuster star since Hulk Hogan. But the Survivor Series match with him and Bischoff was to say Austin go away and never come back. Austin couldn't wrestle; he had too many injuries, but Austin was there for the fans, giving us a good time, hitting a couple of stunners. And now with the way Bischoff set it up, this was the end of Austin. Like, I don't want to see you anymore. So Austin assembled a team, and a Bischoff assembled a team, and the match, it started slow and slow build, but it was still great. It was still great. It was great storytelling, and then it happens. Austin, he chose Shawn Michaels to be on his team. He wanted the man the man Austin, the man who ended Shawn's era, was asking Shawn to fight for him because Shawn took time off. He healed himself mentally, physically. He found God. He found his faith. And he came back a renewed man. And damn say I think he came back with the second half of his career even better. Like I say, Shawn Michaels in that ring is Michael Jordan. I've never seen anybody do what Shawn does in the ring. Shawn can wrestle a broom. Shawn can wrestle a kitten, and the match would be great. So Shawn came back, did more WrestleMania matches with Chris Jericho, astonishing. He it was just he was just Shawn was just a man, and Austin, who was in the twilight of his career, was actually the man that he kind of sat down to fight for him, and Shawn fought for him. Shawn Shawn got his head bust open pretty bad during that match. Shawn was bleeding everywhere, everywhere, and Shawn was fighting like his life depended on it. Super kick after super kick after super kick. Shawn bloody was finding a way, and in that match, we were seeing a young Randy Orton. Randy Orton was the Evolution. He was on top of the world, and it came down to Randy and Shawn, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant seeing Shawn perform with this young guy. And when I seen Randy keep up with Shawn like that, because Randy makes shit look easy. Like he makes things look too damn easy. And I was like, I know this kid's gonna be something special, and that match was something special. And at the end of the match, Shawn was out the ring. The ref got distracted. Here comes Big Old Dave Batista. He rocks Shawn with a power bomb, but Shawn had went through hell, 30 minutes of hell, fighting his heart out. If you got time, if you got the network, watch Survivor Series 2003. Shawn was in the ring putting on a clinic. Like I actually felt bad for Shawn, and I saw Shawn's grit and the way Shawn fought for the man who basically took his spot and led wrestling into the new era. It was priceless. And Batista hits that devastating Batista bomb. Randy gets the pin. Blood's everywhere, and it was over. It was over for Austin. And then what made it so different is where WrestleMania 19, I believe it was in Seattle Safeco Field, and Austin kept it secret. This time, Austin lost in Dallas, Texas, the same Dallas, Texas where he used to fight at the Sportatorium in front of small crowds, you know? So Shawn Austin, he gets in the ring. He looks at Shawn. Shawn's bloody, a bloody mess. Austin's looking at him. The crowd gets a hushed silence. Austin, you don't know what he really thinking, but he lifts Shawn up. He stands Shawn up, and he tells him thank you. And the emotion in that moment, even though Austin and Shawn they were two different people, two different characters. Even though Shawn lost, he didn't lose. You know, he had the fighting spirit, the spirit of a warrior, and Austin had to respect that. And Austin told him, thank you, thank you." And the sadness in Shawn's eyes, that moment was one of the most real moments I've seen. Even though it's just great storytelling, it was so real because we all have that in our lives where we fight and fight, and you don't win all the time. You don't, but you keep fighting, you know. And Shawn, you're not gonna win them all, and Shawn embodied that so perfectly, telling uh, Austin, "I'm sorry," and Austin, you got nothing to be sorry about. You fought you fought your butt off for me, and I think that is a statement for life for people. Um, just because you lose, it ain't about the loss. It's about that you were in there, and even in your loss, Shawn was standing, and he got a standing ovation, which was well deserved. Austin got a standing ovation, well deserved, and I remember Jr. If it's going to end in Dallas, Texas, and I felt that because Austin is Texas. Stone Cold Steve Austin is Texas, And Shawn is a Texas boy, so you had a Texas boy fighting his butt off for Austin. The man you took out with the Stone Cold Stunner WrestleMania 14 would be the man fighting for your existence. It was it's almost a beauty to it, and it's a match I'll never forget. And actually, the whole show of that Survivor Series was great. But Shawn outperformed. You felt the emotion. You seen it. You felt it, and you seen Austin's emotion. Austin had a tear in his eye, and he said, "If it's going to end, I want it to end here in Dallas, Texas." And Coach came down. You know, starting crap with Steve after Austin was saying goodbye. Austin dropped him with a couple booyah stunners, and not a happy ending, but an ending, a satisfying ending. Because Austin's Austin. Even if he's not wrestling, you always want him around because it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. And like I say, Shawn in that ring is Michael Jordan. Like if you've never seen Shawn Michaels wrestle, check him out. There's nothing he can do wrong in that ring. Nothing. And it was just a goodbye from Austin, a goodbye, and a goodbye at home. Cause like you said, if I wanted to end it,